And we're live. Let me give me 1 second to get up our friends on the Mile High Huddle Facebook page before we get going too far off the tracks here. Spinning wheel.
My notification just went off that we were going live, so
there we are. We're good to go.
All the more reason to subscribe to all the channels, so you make sure you get those notifications so you don't miss them. And even if you do miss them, it reminds you to come back and watch it later. So welcome, Broncos for breakfast. What day is it? It is draft day. Draft day. Who's excited? I'm excited. Ross Watson is excited. Now, Ross, having a podcast in the afternoon is great. I'll even forgo making Scott set his background to Old Trafford. You know what? It's Europa Day. Manchester United's playing. I am a football fan. I said the next super chat could name my background. I will change it if you want me to. I'm not that blue-blooded that now if you said you had to make it, like New York Mets, I'm like, I'm out of here. We're leaving. But I'm not so blue-blooded. I'd make it an Old Trafford background for you. So I'll be watching Europa this afternoon for sure.
I would draw the line at Wrigley Field. That's like, nope, it's not happening, folks. It's not happening. But everyone coming in here, we got Cam Wirtz joining us. Hey, the supers the chat looks different today, which is pretty cool. Those look a little sleeker. That's nice. Jason O'Neill's in the house. Good morning to you, Cam. Good morning to Jason O'Neill. Draft tonight. I'm stoked to say the least. And hello in Michigan, Jason. We also got Cam Wirtz is in the house. Ricky Bohr is in the house. Paton has set up this team to win this year. Defense looks solid. Offense same. Now draft for depth and future starters. I think that's a good strategy. Maybe not at pick 9. I don't know if you draft for totally future there, but I'm totally with you, Rickard. We got Ninja Cow. Ninja, good to see you. He's got a test in an hour. Good luck to you, Ninja. And he lays out the plan. Offensive tackle round 1, running back round 2, BPA linebacker, safety, cornerback, DT. So there's the plan, Ninja. We'll see what happens. Not in the quarterback camp. So we'll see what happens. Richie Rich in the house. Can we as fans just look at today and be truly happy for the fact that we are in suspense for this upcoming draft? It really is the first time in years we can say this. Give me Broncos for breakfast. And John Elway, he had been, not to disparage him or anything, but John Elway enjoys his brown. And sometimes that would lead to people knowing the draft intentions for the Denver Broncos. So John Elway Mike Kliss, Woody Page, coming over, have a drink, and let's talk a little bit. Bob Skinner in the house. Hello, Broncos country. How you doing, Bob? CC in the house. CC, good to see you in the morning. What's up, CC? El Bronco. So, guys, this is Broncos for breakfast. We appreciate the heck out of you guys. Happy Draftmas. I am wearing my Broncos Christmas sweater because this is too beautiful to only wear in December, right? It's chilly in the morning here. I'm wearing it. It's Draftmas. Maybe this will become a tradition unless I'm living somewhere in the South at some point in my life. Then I would be a puddle, and I'm not about that life. El Bronco in the house, etc. Go ahead.
When you click on Stephen Bumgarner to say hello, I'm going to take this one. You're not allowed
today.
You're
that sounds good. There's Stephen right now. Let's go, Stephen.
So Stephen, good morning. Drew Lock is my QB. Good for you. Teddy Bridgewater was one of mine. So I've got a Teddy Bridgewater story that we'll get into when he was in high school. But Tommy Frazier was my QB. I said yesterday, I'm like, that Nebraska 95 team was like a benchmark for best college football team I saw at the time for sure. So, thank you for support. Ross, Steven, we're off to a good start. Appreciate it. Looking forward to the day.
Heck yeah, you guys are great. I mean, it's Draftmas. Everybody's good vibes only. So Broncos for breakfast. We appreciate y'all. We'll be here again tomorrow to break down the first round. So obviously the first round is a lot of fun. But my favorite day is day 2. But man, the suspense this year, the quarterbacks and the unknowns. I'm so excited. Guys, make sure you find Scott on YouTube, youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I am dropping his link here in the chat. If it'll go, there we go. That's awesome. So hopefully it didn't drop it 20 times, but thank you guys so much for following.
Once, though. You only have to click it once. That's a big help. So if you subscribe to my channel, that's a big help. If you don't know how YouTube works, you can't monetize your channel until you get 1,000 subscribers. I get a ton of views because I do so many highlights that people are going back and watching over and over and over again, as opposed to the live stuff. But it's harder for me to get subscribers because I'm not doing as much live stuff. So if you guys can go and do that, it's a big help. Even if you turn off notifications, it's a big help for me, and I appreciate it. Speaking of appreciate, we've had a couple other supers drop in here. And
really?
it almost feels like a goodbye present, and it's not. It's not. This isn't the end, fellas, of Broncos for breakfast, and ladies for sure. So want to make sure that we will be doing more. I talked with Chad yesterday. I think he's testing the waters, and I think we'll keep doing Broncos for breakfast if it's something that y'all are enjoying.
Yeah, no, Chad's like, hey, if it's working for you guys and the people are enjoying it and they're showing you the love, then by all means, we're going to keep it rolling. So I'm feeling the love this morning, especially Franklin Peterson coming in saying, hello, trade back to the late teens, mid-20s, and take Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins isn't somebody we've talked about much, Scott. We should let's get through the rest of this intro here and let's come back to this one because I do want to talk about some Zaven Collins. And Kyle, I see you as well. We're going to get to you, buddy, but let's get to Zaven Collins as well. So guys, make sure you follow us at Mile High Huddle. That's the mothership, as we say. And you can follow us on Facebook also at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Most important thing you guys can do, Scott was kind of hinting at it earlier, but in order to make this page more viewable, more usable for people, we need you enjoying the show today to subscribe, like, and share. Or if you guys are on Facebook, please click those thumbs up or heart reacts. You guys can find us on Twitter, myself at Nick Kendell MHH, and Scott at Twitter at Scout Kennedy. So Zaven Collins, real quick, big linebacker, kind of played a weird position for Tulsa because he was so far from the line of scrimmage. I thought it was kind of odd with his alignment, but he's a big guy. He moves okay, but because of his length and size and weighed 270 at the medical rechecks, is he an edge?
I'm like, you say he moves okay, and I'm like, what?
I mean, for his size, right? Like I always put it in the context of his size. And because he's I think you could do a drop zone corner with the length he has. Like it's grading on a curve. You know, a guy at 220 has to move different than a guy at 270. But is he going to be an edge? Is he going to be a linebacker? I like Zaven Collins. I feel like he's almost too methodical coming downhill to be a trench player for me.
Well, it's okay. And that's okay. It depends on what you need out of him. If you're going to drop a 3-4 scheme, he's a perfect outside linebacker. You know, those guys are huge. So, you know, because you're going to need him to set the edge. You're going to need that extra, you know, weight in the pants for him. So he's a perfect in a 3-4, even if you're going to run that scheme. Productive, and he's also good. He could be a zone blitz guy. You know, if you're running any kind of zone blitzes, he had 4 interceptions last year. His production has gone up each and every year. He's 270 pounds. He's running in the 4.6s. He's obviously a good football player. So that's a good shout. That's a good shout on Zaven Collins. You get him in the later first. This is a fun draft. This is a fun draft.
How do you feel about Zaven Collins versus Jamin Davis?
Oh, I would go. I'd like the speed first. I'd want to go with Davis first.
Me too.
You know, I'd go with him first, but I'd be happy with Zaven Collins on my team for sure, just because of the different things he can do. You know, you can drop him down as a true, defensive end if you needed to, because he's got that type of size. So, but I would go with Jamin Davis before I would go Zaven Collins.
Yeah, same here. Had the highest vertical jump since Boss Bailey for a linebacker. We got Poppy in the house. Good morning, guys. Good morning to you, Poppy. We've really been appreciating you stopping by the morning show. Peter Middleton's in the house today. Oh, we're talking about one of my favorites, Tevin Jenkins, a mauler. Would be a good scheme fit for the Broncos. Mike Givens in here saying good morning, draft day. Ashton's in the house saying draft day is awesome. Anthony Cordova coming in here. Good morning, gents. Happy draft miss. Yes, draft miss. We're going to get it going. Go Broncos. I am Purple Drink. Join us on Twitch. You guys, you can follow us on Twitch as well. This show goes live on Twitch. I'm not very much of a video gamer. I still play like NCAA football on my Xbox 360. Gosh dang, I'm ready for them to bring that back. But you guys can follow us on Twitch. And I am Purple Drink saying, let's go Broncos. Get your coffee, pack your bowl of cereal. I think he's talking about here.
And Nick, did we hit Kyle Wielden?
Yes. Getting to Kyle right now.
Okay. Just, thanks for the great content, guys. Thank you. We enjoy the talk. We don't have a whole lot of other hobbies, so we're fairly knowledgeable about this stuff. And, working with Nick here the past couple months, I can see that, he checks his ego at the door also, and that's what's key when we're talking about this is I'm not here for shock value. I'm not going to tell somebody they're stupid. I'm not going to go out here and rail on Chris Sims being the dumbest thing I've ever heard for putting Justin Fields at 32, because, a phrase I've said in here before, and I'll say it again, is at least let me be wrong before you tell me I'm wrong. And when we're predicting the future, hell, he might be right. And then he's going to look like a genius and I look like an idiot. Well, I'm going to hedge a little bit more. So appreciate doing that. And if you go back and watch Monday, my mock draft didn't have any trades, and Trey Lance fell to 9. He fell to the Broncos. So it's a possibility. It's a remote possibility, but it is a possibility for sure. And having Teddy Bridgewater come in for a song, $3 million and a 6th round draft pick, that's a good move. Now you're not necessarily in a, boy, we really need a quarterback. Well, now you've got some insurance in a solid pro, and he's not costing you anything. That was a brilliant move. Brilliant from the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and let's get into that. See that I'm not missing any supers here before we get going too far. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater. I want to say, first off, a lot of Broncos insiders hinted at the Broncos being interested in Teddy Bridgewater, but they hinted at 15 names for the Broncos being interested for a player. And it was only about 10 minutes before this trade actually became official where somebody like Mike Silver and Jeremy Fowler hinted that the Broncos might be interested in Teddy Bridgewater. 10 minutes later, the trade came down the track. So while there are a lot of people who are projecting where the Broncos may go in the draft, I'm thinking, and I think it was Tony Pauline yesterday said that George Paton knows he's not telling a single soul what the Broncos are doing at 9. Nobody in the organization even what they're doing at 9.
Tony Pauline's my biggest fan. We go way back. So Tony, if you're watching, how you doing?
Tony, I think you gotta love that New York accent, man. Always kills me. He's been doing it for a while. So, but yeah, he said that Paton knows. So I'm really of the opinion that there's all these rumors, the buzz, blah, blah, blah for the Broncos. I don't think anybody knows a damn thing. I think there's people in the organization who have opinions and whatnot, but George Paton knows what he's going to do. He's not telling anyone. So I'm really excited. Like Richie Rich said earlier, nobody knows a darn thing. Or before we used to know, I think nobody knows a darn thing this year. So we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater, a 6th round pick. Broncos only going to pay him, I think, $4.5 million. I think some of that is bonus, $3 million and then $1.5 bonus. With the Panthers paying him $7 million. So Broncos got Teddy Bridgewater for less than what they gave up Joe Flacco for, less than what they gave up traded Trevor Siemian for, less than what I think also less than what they traded Case Keenum for. Now, part of that is because when this trade happened, part of it is because the weird cap this season. Probably not as many suitors for Teddy Bridgewater's contract, but really interesting. I mean, the Broncos got him for nothing. I don't know if it'd be I would call it a robbery because do you consider it a robbery if you grab a sucker from the convenience store and walk out? And no, right? The value is not super high. Not to disparage your guy Teddy, but very cheap price for a reason. But still, this is a very good move by the Denver Broncos because it raises the floor of the quarterback position. This roster is ready to go. There's not many holes on it, especially for 2021. Teddy Bridgewater is only going to be here for 2021, and these coaches are going to be coaching for their lives. So this is a 2021 move, raises the floor, and now the Broncos have a chance to do some things because Bridgewater can be he's a trailer, not a truck, as Daniel Jeremiah would like to say, right? He's not going to be a superstar in this offense, but he can run the offense, distribute it, give the ball to playmakers, take care of the football, and lead a more defensive-oriented team to the playoffs, I believe, this year for the Broncos.
He's a good pro that has had a lot of success, not necessarily as much from the injury, but again, if you're getting a backup for this kind of money with a chance to push your starter, great. I've watched Teddy from and Flying Dragon Films. Appreciate that. That's a big thank you to us for the work that we've been doing the last month. So thank you. So you guys rock. Thanks. Trading for Teddy allows us to draft Lance and let him sit and develop. Can get future picks for Locke. And we can get into that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Teddy first, but you're right.
From Louisville.
You're from Louisville. But for me, he's from Miami Northwestern. So he was in Miami. I was watching him when he was in high school. And I had a little story about here. And if you guys think, Scott, shut up, we don't care about this stuff when they were coming out of high school, just say so in the comments and I'll say this. But when he was coming out, I watched him in Oregon. They used to invite teams for a 7-on-7, and they had him there, and he was like the Pied Piper. He just did everything. He was a safety. He was a quarterback, and his Miami Northwestern team won an invitational 7v7 at Nike's headquarters there at Nike's headquarters in Portland, Oregon, Beaverton, actually. So he gets invited to the Army All-American game, and that's not his setting. I was trying to come up with an analogy, and I was like, it'll be a little bit like watching Jason Kidd in a shoot around and saying, what's the big deal? I don't see it. It's like, well, so somebody asked me, one of the regional scouts asked me, he goes, dude, sell me on Ted Bridgewater. I don't see what's it. I'm like, listen, this isn't his setting. Put him in a 4 wide with 2 minutes left in the game. Give him the ball and watch him go to work. So a little bit later, we're in a group meeting talking about rankings, and the same guy, and I don't like being called by my last name. I think it's disrespectful. I don't call anybody else by their last name. And he pops off about another quarterback. Oh, well, he's better than Kennedy's boy Bridgewater. Well, how'd that work out for you? Bridgewater was a phenom at Louisville, first-round draft pick, great quarterback at Minnesota. So Teddy, just because of who he is, has a special place in my heart, just watching him come all the way through, because for me, he was a program changer. The way he was so revered in Miami, if he stays down and goes to the Miami Hurricanes are a lot more relevant today in the last 10 years that they've been. That was a program changer. That's the kind of person and leader that Teddy Bridgewater is. And I love him. I love him. I root for him wherever he goes. And I can't wait I'm not rooting against Drew Lock, but I want to see Teddy Bridgewater succeed.
Yeah. And speaking of rooting, who's rooting for us today? Bobby coming in here with the unbelievably gracious super chat here. Happy draft day. Very excited. Us too, Bobby. I'm still kind of, the coffee's still caressing through the veins, but I can't believe it. It feels surreal that we're here. Enjoying this show very much. Great job, guys. Go Broncos. Well, Bobby, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Make sure you guys, we're going to be live today, streaming the show as well. All the Mile High Huddle folks, all the draft folks on Mile High Huddle. So make sure you guys join us. We'll see what happens. It'll be kind of funny if we're all amping up for the 9th pick and then the Broncos trade back to like 25. Talk about a kind of a tease, but we'll see what happens. And if it's a quarterback, gosh, I'm really interested to see how the chat goes if we do get a quarterback. So a lot of people in the chat asking, do we think that Teddy Millions acquisition pivots the Broncos draft strategy as it pertains to quarterback? So I'm going to kick that to you. Obviously, it's 6th-round pick, $3 million, $4.5 million against the cap, I think, with the roster bonus. And he's going to come in here and probably, I would put money down right now that Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback for the Broncos in 2021. I think that he'd be Drew Lock. So,
there's a phrase in negotiations, this isn't Socrates here. But it's negotiate from a position of strength. And listening to Nick and listening to the Mile High Huddle podcast and everything, the Broncos don't necessarily want to give up future picks. They don't want to. They will, but they don't want to. So what this says to me is they're not going to overspend. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're not going to overspend for a quarterback. I don't know that they're going to be able to meet the price of, say, the Atlanta Falcons at 4 in order to move up to the 4 spot, because the Falcons are going to win a lot. They're going to win a lot to come out of that 4 spot, because there are a couple elite prospects, regardless of quarterback, going to be available at 4. So they don't want to come out of that 4 spot. So the Falcons don't want to come up. The Broncos don't want to spend. That ain't going to happen. I don't see that one happening. Yeah. But the Bengals could get their guy a couple spots back. The Dolphins could get their other guy, but they really want Jamar Chase. If Jamar Chase goes 4 or 5, and if Pitts goes 4 and Jamar Chase goes 5, which is a possibility, then they're going to be pissed. The Dolphins are going to be pissed. They're coming down. They want to come out of that spot. The Detroit Lions might come out of that spot. But again, I said if nobody trades, then, I had Justin Fields ended up falling to 8, I think, to the Panthers, and then 9 for Trey Lance. So it gives them more strength. You don't have to have a quarterback. You don't have to. If the situation presents itself, take it. But you're not going to overspend right now. I don't get the feeling that Denver wants to overspend, period. And they're certainly not going to now when they just got a solid, another solid option in Teddy Bridgewater. And Richie Rich mentioned the high school is before he destroyed. Is like, yeah, no, I make no mistake about it. He's not the quarterback he was in Minnesota. I'm hoping he can get back to there. That's the person, Teddy Bridgewater, the person I will root for for the rest of my life. And I hope he can get back to close to the type of player that he was, because even if he never plays it down, he's going to be an asset to the Denver Broncos. And that's just the type of player and person he is. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Teddy that he got his move. And you know what? You can tell my coffee's kicking in. Good on Carolina for doing this, because that's what this move meant to me, was Carolina thought enough about Teddy Bridgewater that they made this move for him in certain respects. It makes much more sense. If you're going to be paying him this money anyway, you got a quarterback who's kind of iffy and you're on a 1-year deal. From a operation standpoint, you keep Teddy Bridgewater, at least until after the draft. So to me, it means they thought enough about Teddy Bridgewater to make this move for him. Good on you, Carolina. Good luck, Teddy Bridgewater. Broncos fans are going to be excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of stuff you say there really makes me think that this is a move that could lead into taking an early round quarterback, because Teddy's obviously it's 1 year. You're raving about the character, and that's something that Shermer has worked with him for 2 seasons in Minnesota. Unfortunately, it was the injury year, but he knows what Teddy went through and the adversity he dealt with to get to where he's at now. And George Paton was a big part of the process to bring Teddy Bridgewater to Minnesota with that 32nd overall pick, where they jumped back into the first round. So I think this is a perfect guy where if you're looking to bring in a rookie quarterback and you don't really want them to play year one, or you don't have to be forced to play them year one, you can give the keys to Teddy for a bit. He's going to take care of the car. He's kind of a valet at this point, right? Like he could be a valet, where he's not going to ding up your car. He's not going to get anything injured. He's going to keep you going. And whenever that young guy gets he's got his permit right now. Whenever he's ready for his license, he can take over that vehicle. So I think that's before I didn't know how much Drew Lock and an early round rookie made sense, given they're both guys who would need reps, development, coaches' attention if they are going to go where you want them to go. But with Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think that's the case. I think you can kind of obviously schematically implement in the offense. You want to give Teddy help, but he doesn't need the technical work. He doesn't need the precise work. That's the word I'm looking for. I guess it's just the technique, right? The footwork, the arm accuracy, et cetera, that these young guys, both Lock and a potential rookie, would need. So I think it does open the door for a quarterback, but it also opens the door where the Broncos don't have to go quarterback as well. And you hit the nail on the head. Peyton, he's got leverage now. If there's a price that he doesn't want to pay, he doesn't have to pay it now, which is exactly what you want to be going into the draft, a position of strength. So it will be interesting. I do have my eyes on Miami at 6. I think if the Broncos like a quarterback enough, 6 is the spot, because once you get to there was a report yesterday, the Dolphins are okay trading back from 6 if the draft falls a certain way, which to me reads Pitts and Chase off the board. And then the report came out that Waddle was their number 1 quarterback. I'm calling BS. So that's anything that close to the draft when it's going against the consensus, when everything's been chase. I'm going to call BS on that one. We'll see though. So if Pitts, Chase 4 and 5, I think the Dolphins would love to trade back to 9. They want to stay in the top 12 because I think they want one of Waddle or Smith. 9 makes perfect sense. And if the Broncos wait till 7, that's when you're in your danger zone, because Detroit, I think, would be okay trading back 15, 20, 19, 24. This is a team that's in asset accumulation mode for future picks. We saw that when they traded Matt Stafford. So if you want to go up, I think it has to be 6.
And Detroit could take a quarterback. I think they're 1 year on Goff. Malcolm Brown asks, is Teddy Bridgewater a fit for Shermer's deep throw tendencies? Malcolm, appreciate the super on that. And yeah, he is. He's got a nice touch on a deep throw. He's more of a He's not. If you watch someone like Zach Wilson, I can keep going to John Elway if you want. I mean, but John Elway could throw the ball deep from anywhere. Teddy Bridgewater has good accuracy on a deep throw, but he doesn't have that natural arm strength. He's got to get into it a little bit. So he's going to shuffle, move his feet, and make a throw like a baseball player almost. But yeah, he's got good accuracy on a deep throw. Good on the play action. I can't speak to his mobility now after the leg injury, but it should get better. It should get better than it's been. Every year he should get a little stronger until age takes its toll on all of us. But yeah, I think Malcolm, I think that Teddy Bridgewater is a fit for Shermer's deep throw tendencies. Thank you for the question.
And I actually am curious about would you say Shermer is a deep throw tendency guy? I know we had it last year with Drew Lock, because Drew Lock does want to push the ball vertically, and he was kind of going with his primary read on probably more plays than he should have. Drew Lock's kind of got a little bit of Brett Favre in him, right? Where if there's a throw out there, he sees it, and the odds are he's not going to not go away from it. So because he trusts his arm talent. But I think Shermer typically is more, tutored under Chip Kelly, tutored under Andy Reid, and we're talking about pre-Mahomes Andy Reid. It's more of a full field reads, get the ball out, distribute it to your playmakers kind of thing, which this Broncos offense is set up for that. The offensive line is average. You got Jerry Jeudy, you got KJ Hamler, you got Noah Fant. The only real deep ball guy right now that you have is Cortland Sutton. So I don't know. I think that's more just last year, actually Shermer trying to match what Drew Lock does well to his scheme.
And I think when you say Chip, when I hear Chip Kelly, I think horizontal. Getting a lot of crossing routes, getting a lot of slants, getting a lot of slip screens, get the guy in space and let him make a move. And that's why we talked about, for me, Patrick Surtain at corner is so important because you've got so much of that now where the running game is your wide receivers in the flats. That's your running game a lot of times these days. So you better be able to make an open field tackle.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true. That's a good point. We got Mr. Kirk Cousins here, Jeremy Sean. Teddy is too safe. Mock has been too risky. Well, think about it from the coach's perspective. What guy do you want to go with to save your job, especially with a defensive-oriented team? Probably going to lean into Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, a lot of the stuff I hear is secondhand sources, not directly talking with George Paton or a coach, but from what I've understood is that the coaching staff themselves are looking for somebody to just guide the offense, move the offense, and not put the ball in harm's way because they want to be a defensive-first team. So I really am thinking that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the guy who wins the starting job from Drew Lock. And I think the team would like Drew Lock to take it if he is there because he's cost-controlled, he's young, he's a potentially ascending player. But these are guys coaching for their jobs. So they're not looking very much beyond 2021. And this is an interesting tidbit here. Again, secondhand source. But leading into free agency, I was given a list of quarterbacks and tied to their biggest advocates in the Broncos front office or coaching staff. Number one, Vic Fangio tied with Gardner Minshew. Number two was Shermer tied with Nick Foles. Three was John Elway with Sam Darnold. He always had a huge crush on Sam Darnold. He can't get over her. It's like the girl in high school who went off, who was gorgeous, and then had 20 kids with, different stuff. And it's like, man, I could fix her. I know if I got her, I could fix her. And then you had George Paton linked with Teddy Bridgewater. Well, now there's all this talk of these rookie quarterbacks. And in the end there, George Paton got his guy, the guy that he was linked with, the guy that my understanding is he wanted. The guy that George Paton, I've heard even as soon as they hired him, the guy that I heard George Paton wanted in the draft, the guy that he had big eyes for, Trey Lance. So we'll see what happens. But this I would say this move really opens it up for Trey Lance. A lot of people say he needs time. Well, guess what? Teddy Bridgewater just bought you time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, it's a possibility. The wild cards there are the Bengals. What are they going to do? Because we know what the Dolphins want. They want Chase. The Bengals and the Lions are definitely wild cards at 6 and 8. And if one of those quarterbacks is available, they don't get by Carolina. So if there's two quarterbacks available with Carolina on the board, then you're okay. Then you got a shot. And again, I would have Mac Jones last out of this bunch, but again, I'm not the one drafting him, so he could be off the board at 3. He could be off the board at 3 or 23. It's going to be an interesting draft, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we got Malcolm Brown and Scott, the only SEC guy on the MHH staff. I think you might be the only guy in South Country. We got a couple Big Sky. Chad is in the Pac-12 country. I was Big 10. Now I'm Pac-12. Carl's Big 12. I think we're spread out, man. That's what's amazing about Mile High Huddle and as well as just Broncos country in general, right?
Malcolm always joked. I was like, it's like, well, you're from Atlanta. How come you don't have a Southern accent? I'm like, have you been to Atlanta? It's not really South. I said, but when I was, in LA, if I was talking college football, I'd put a little more Southern accent into it because by God, we know how to play football down here.
Oh man. Sykes JB. John is not joining us today behind the 1s and 2s, so I do not have access to the super sticker itself. But let me just say the fact that it says super sticker with a $20 super, you're a super sticker, Sykes. We appreciate the heck out of you. And thank you so much for the donation. And if you got a question, man, I'll be looking for it in here. You already put the super in. We'll just count that as the super. And we got my good friend Paul coming in here. Great work, Nick and Scott, and happy draft day. Happy draftmas, everyone. Hoping for a quarterback tonight. If not, trade back, bolster the roster for 2022. Thank you, Atlanta. Pitts is great at 4. Oh man, those are Paul is so sweet, but I'll tell you, man, he trolls a little bit, and I think he's coming for you there on Scott for that last one.
I had him in my mock. I'm like, because I wrote it this morning. Was the only mock I've done is here. Is the top 10 mock that I did here on Monday. It's the only one I've done. I feel like sometimes you start to feel like everybody's doing mocks. Who's going to read mine? But I got a captive audience here. If I say it, you have to listen. You can turn me off afterwards, but So Julio Jones, I wrote it today. The numbers are starting to say that Julio Jones is gone. The Falcons have to clear $12 million off of their salary cap just to sign this draft class. So you're basically trading Julio Jones for 8 draft picks. Well, yeah, you got to make that trade. They're running out of options on how to do it. Now, the guys are coming from the Saints who have been cap wizards all along. But if Julio Jones is going to be gone, then Kyle Pitts makes sense. He's a like for like replacement for the next 10, 12 years. It makes sense. And we would all, no matter where Julio Jones ends up, except maybe New England, we'd root for him. We would root for Julio Jones because he's been the ultimate pro. So it makes sense. I'll repeat it myself again. I don't want Julio Jones or Kyle Pitts at 4 for the Falcons, but by God, I'd be excited about watching him. And I feel like anybody drafting in the top 10, you're either going to get your quarterback prospect of the future, which is exciting. Even if he doesn't pan out, you got to hope for at least a year, or you're going to get a really exciting football player. So anybody in the top 10 should come out of this draft saying, man, I cannot wait to watch that kid play. And that's a good place to be in. If Kyle Pitts is your consolation prize, you're doing okay.
Yeah, right. It's draft miss, man. Everybody's getting some presents, unless you're the Houston Texans or the Seattle Seahawks who traded 2 first-round picks for a box safety. I don't know how you feel about Jamal Adams, but a good player, but 2 first-round picks for a box safety. I don't understand. Cam Wirtz coming in and say Drew could possibly be in contention for MVP if he plays hard. I don't know if this is a tongue-in-cheek, Cam, but I'll say one name for you for playing hard, correlating to being good: Tim Tebow. I don't know if maybe Scott was a Tim Tebow truther down there in SEC country, but you can work hard, and that's something you have to be a great quarterback in this league. But it takes more than working extremely hard.
No, everybody works hard. It's more than, and everybody has talent. So working hard does matter if you've got enough talent. Hey, Dave Glassman, everybody. I'm not sure what the purple is. Is that Twitch?
That's Twitch.
Somebody watching on Twitch. Okay, so welcome to our Twitch viewers. But Tim Tebow, college football player, he's one of the greatest college football players of all time. Mm-hmm. I lost a dinner on him arguing with somebody that I was like, there's no way he's going to get drafted in the first round, despite the fact being the one of the greatest college football players of all time. He's not a first round quarterback. Well, was it Josh McDaniels, cost me a dinner. My evaluation was right, which just goes to prove that it only takes one guy. If you look at Tim Tebow's measurables, who he actually measured almost spot on with was Dallas Clark. Like, turn this guy into an H-back. Just turn him into an H-back. He's got like baskets for hands. He's strong as an ox. He's 6'3". He's running 4.6s. He's Dallas Clark. I honestly think that Tim Tebow had already been beat to hell by the time he got to the NFL, that he wasn't going to last as a field position player. He needed to protect himself a little bit because, the guy was a warrior. He was an absolute warrior, but he wasn't a first-round NFL draft pick.
Yeah, man. You get me swooning talking about Dallas Clark there. Quarterback converted to tight end. Go Hawks. Got to throw that out there. I met him actually a couple of times. My next door neighbor's daughter married Bob Sanders. So Bob Sanders was over at the house a few times and got to meet Dallas Clark and him as well. And also Chad Greenway one time. My only Hawkeye jersey I have is a Chad Greenway jersey from the Capital One Bowl, whatever year that was, when Iowa beat LSU in that 50-yard touchdown at the last second. So sorry to go down.
Dallas Clark was a first-round draft pick. I was actually doing NFL Network at the time when I made that comparison. And I said, on air, I was like, well, Dallas Clark was a first-round draft pick. Tim Tebow's not going to be. No. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate that.
You're speaking to the right people if you want to disparage Josh McDaniels. So we got Shane Bullock coming in here. I really want a quarterback tonight, but I love your guys' channel. Hopefully Paton knows what he's doing. And thank you so much, Shane, for the super chat. We appreciate you over on YouTube. And YouTube listeners, make sure, again, if you guys are enjoying this content, we're going to be live tonight, so make sure you join us. The chat's going to be, I bet you it's going to be nuts. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to have that collective experience with you guys when the Broncos do make that pick. But if you guys are joining us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. That can help us a heck of a lot. I really want a quarterback too, Shane. I am preparing myself for the potential reality that it doesn't happen because, quarterback's the biggest needle mover. I understand that it's a risk. But every single draft pick's a risk, right? You just have to be able to make a calculated risk. Like, people are like throwing up the statistics of top 10 drafted quarterbacks and whatnot. Well, okay, then don't play football, right? Like, you have to take a calculated risk at some point because one of these guys are going to hit. And if you don't have a quarterback, good freaking luck. So you have to determine if that guy's worth taking that shot on, because there are no sure things. And if you mess up, you're going to be set back a bit, but you have to be willing to take that leap. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere.
And I want to hit on the second part of Shane's comment. It says, hopefully Paton knows what he's doing. And I can't help but read that as Paton. So y'all are going to have to just shock collar me if I call him Paton. But Paton knows what he's doing now.
Paton. Shock collar.
See, that was fast. The very next time I said it. So there's a phrase that I just absolutely despise when we're in these type of things, and it's trust the coaches. I trust the coaches to do this. I trust the coaches. Listen, I trust the coaches to do what they think is right. No doubt. They've got they have nothing more to lose. They've got more to lose than anybody. I trust them to be honest and integrity and to do what they think is right. But I don't trust them to get it right. That's insane. 50% of these picks are going to go bad. So if we're going to discuss the pros and cons and we're going to tell you what we're going to see, I'm going to be right on some of the guys that they're going to miss on. They're going to be right on some of the guys that I miss on. That's part of it. So I trust them to make a decision. So when we start talking about different players, especially when it's coming out of, doing the college football recruiting, it's like, you're not a coach. What the hell do you know? I'm like, I know that I've seen this kid 100 times and they haven't seen him at all because they haven't been allowed on the road yet. That's what I know. So hopefully Paton knows what he's doing. I trust that he knows what he's doing without a doubt. Doesn't mean he's going to make the right decision. 40 years as an Atlanta sports fan has taught me that, for God's sakes. I expect them to make the wrong decision. I expect them to do it honestly, but I expect them to get it wrong. So new regime in Atlanta, hopefully it's going to be better. And Paton, I like the conservative approach a little bit. I wouldn't want to give up a bunch of picks. Growing up in the 80s and watching in early 90s, watching Dallas build that team by trading down all the time and just stockpiling players, because while there's a big difference in monetary value between the guy that's drafted at 25 and the guy drafted at 35, how big a difference is there really in talent?
Yeah.
There's not. So if I can trade 25 and get 32 and 35, I'll do it. I'll do it every time.
Yeah.
So, because, there's just not that big a difference in the players at that level coming out of college. So I trust they know what they're doing. Now, will they make the right decision? Time will tell.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. We've had data shown multiple times where these teams typically tend to be overconfident with how likely they are to get the right pick or to have a guy hit. So as Paton would say, more bullets in the chamber, more shots at the dartboard. That's if you can trade back and just have a larger assortment of picks, specifically in the top 100, 125 picks. I think there typically is a pretty good drop off after that. Obviously, you can find guys days 5, 6, and 7, but if you're looking for developmental starters, there tends to be a cutoff right around the middle of round 4. So we will see what happens there. We got Gerald Hendy coming out here, and I want to give a shout out to Gerald. I posted my only 7-round mock draft where I had the Broncos taking Justin Fields at 9. And he didn't think that was a good idea, and he let it be known. And he came back and apologized after that, saying that he was having a bad day and apologized for his action. And you know what, Gerald? It's all good. I respect the heck out of you for coming back later and saying, hey, you know what? That wasn't me. And I apologize. So it's all good, Gerald. I love you. Thank you for joining us today. And like Scott said, neither of us have giant egos. We take what information we've had that we've gathered and put our lens on it and give you that information. We're not saying we're the end all be all. Anybody who talks in definitives and absolutes with the NFL draft is going to look, no, I can guarantee, there's only one guarantee I can have. Anybody who talks in absolutes with the NFL draft is going to look absolutely foolish in 1 year.
And somehow those guys get on ESPN and Fox Sports running their own shows talking nonsense about everything. They don't know. They know a little bit about everything, but not a lot about anything. So maybe that's the way to go. Maybe I need to start pounding on my desk more and saying stupid stuff, because it seems to work. It's not me. I can't be that intellectually dishonest. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, that's life, man. And Gerald, again, I appreciate you coming back, and I just wanted to let you know that it's all good. It was never personal. You are just passionate about your football takes. That's why you're here, baby. That's why we're all here. We're excited about this football game, man. We love it, and we know that things can play out differently. The future is yet to be written. So let's just enjoy and fill the space with fun topics, and maybe we learn something from it, right? You guys say something, change my mind. I say something to maybe change your perspective. That's what it's all about. That's what makes this so fun. So we got Richie Rich. Oh, go ahead, Scott. You were gonna.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm just reading through some of the comments, and I'm more thinking of the Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smiths of the world than Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper does his homework. He's gonna say a bunch of stuff that's gonna be wrong because he's gonna say a bunch of stuff about trying to predict the future. But if you ever listen to Mel Kiper in the off season talking college football, he's extremely knowledgeable. So, I have a lot of respect for Mel Kiper and how he's been doing this long. I used to think he was amazing until I realized he was only, following 250 guys when I had to follow 2,500. I'm like, well, hell, I got 250 guys in Georgia. That's not so hard. But I have a lot of respect for Mel Kiper. I think he does a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, and also I think it's an
question in here. Offensive tackles. It's one of the questions was how big is a drop off from first to second round in offensive tackles? I know. How likely is it? Do you think that the Broncos come out of this draft with an offensive tackle, and then I'll start talking about some of the players that might be available?
I think it's definitely likely. My understanding is that while they are talking highly about Juwan James for this season, I think they are heading towards a mutual divorce after this year, even if Juwan James plays well. Obviously,
Georgia kid, right?
He played at Tennessee for college football.
Okay,
I can't speak to his high school. That's for you, man. I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan, so recruiting is like, oh, they signed a 2-star kid from South Dakota that's going to convert from quarterback to edge rusher. All right, we'll see. That's my college recruiting story for the Hawks. But I think it's definitely something I'm looking at. And Juwan James, they sound like they're heading for a mutual divorce. It's not just the Broncos probably moving on, and they probably would have moved on from him this year if they could have contractually. But my understanding is Juwan James is there was obviously the incident with the knee, and there was some back and forth with and it was more public than it probably should have, where the team medical staff was like, oh yeah, he should be good to go. He should play. And that kind of caused some issues, and Juwan James didn't feel right with his knee. So I don't think he fully trusts the medical staff as well, is my understanding. And I think he wants to be out of here after the season. He's going to go out there, he's going to play because he's a professional, and he's going to try to make sure that he can set himself up to get some money. But I think either way, right tackle, view Juwan James as a 1-year left contract, because I can't imagine a scenario where he's back. So right tackle early in the draft, absolutely as high as 9. The Rashawn Slater is probably the most likely non-quarterback pick at 9 for the Denver Broncos, from what I am gathering. From what I'm gathering, again, could be BS because it's draft season, but from what my understanding is, they have Rashawn Slater ranked higher than Penei Sewell. Not me, them. He can play all 5 positions, and probably would get a chance to play guard, center, or right tackle this year, but you can move him to any of them. After that, though, I mean, day 2, yes, absolutely. Day 3, I mean, they need to come out with a right tackle. It doesn't have to be a first-round pick because it's not a 2021 need, and you have Mike Munchak, but they're looking. Make no mistake about it. They are looking.
I think, y'all know how I feel about Penei Sewell. I think he's clearly the number 1 guy in this draft for offensive tackle. I think he could be a number 1 where in drafts where we've seen offensive tackles go, but it's the quarterback draft. It's quarterback year this year. So I think he is really good about there. Darisaw is someone else. If for some reason Slater is gone, Christian Darisaw to Virginia Tech, someone to watch. As you go down a little bit, mention how big is the drop-off. I don't think there's that big a drop-off through the second round. If you go down to like Liam Eichenberg was one of the guys we mentioned could sneak into the first out of Notre Dame, has a tremendous resume. Alex Leatherwood, so much more athletic at his pro day than from what I saw in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I think he may have just been bored. I don't know, but I didn't see that type of athleticism at the Senior Bowl that he displayed at his pro day. And part of that stuff that you can't fake, like, a 36-inch vertical leap and a 10-plus broad jump. Guys to watch, and then Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan. Guys you get in the second round, and then my guy, Spencer Brown, Northern Iowa. If you take him out of the first round, he goes second, third, fourth, whatever, then you got a first round talent in a later round, and that's a heck of a steal. Spencer Brown's a beast, just flat out. So I love him. I can't say it enough, and hopefully someone will remember who was highest on him when he's in the Pro Bowl.
Man, he is quite an athlete. The teams are going to look at that as a moldable ball of clay, and somebody's going to jump on him. I bet you he'll go in the top 50, despite some issues on tape, opening that gate a little bit early, sometimes playing a little bit high. But, man, the length he has, the movement skills, somebody will take a shot. And I really like this tackle class. Even, I'm looking at Dane Brugler's list of offensive tackles right here. I go all the way down to number 18 on his offensive tackles, where I'm like, yeah, that guy might be something in the league. Stone Forsythe from Florida, he's somebody that people are sleeping on. Deontay Smith, guard or tackle. You listed Alex Leatherwood and Leno Eichenberg. There's a lot of kind of guard tackles in there. Deontay Smith's another one of those guys. People are really
James Hudson, Cincinnati.
Yes,
a little bit of a sleeper. Another guy but I like him more at guard is one of the lists I'm looking at right now has Brennan James, Nebraska, as a tackle. I'm like, he's straight guard to me, but he's good. He is good.
Yeah.
Um,
Jalen
so
Moore,
there's players
Tommy
in
Doyle,
there.
Josh Ball, Dan Moore. I mean, there's some tackles you can take. It does not have to be a top 2 round need, but if the board falls the right way, you can do that. And that's my hat's off to George Paton. The Broncos are going into this draft where there are no true impending day one needs, right? Like some people will scream linebacker. That would be nice, but the Broncos defense isn't going to fall apart because of Alexander Johnson and Josie Jewell, right? Like you have a high floor because of those two. Right tackle's a need, offensive line's a need, but it's probably not going to fall apart unless Juwan James has another injury, which, gosh, knock on wood for that one. We'll see. But this roster, for being the team picking 9th overall, it's pretty insane how much flexibility Paton has in the draft. He can let the board come to him, let value dictate his picks, and have a much more holistic look at the draft. It's not like the Broncos in 2017, where if they didn't go offensive tackle round 1, they were going to be in a world of hurt because they had nobody there. And I think like Alan Barber or something, like a guard, like, oh, maybe you can play tackle. No, you're taking a tackle in the first round. Don't lie to us. They can go many ways, and that makes it really fun.
All right, I want to stir things up just a little bit. So one of the crazier things that has been floating around just a little bit, that's even crazier than the 49ers taking Mac Jones at number 3, is the 49ers taking Kyle Pitts at 3. There's been just a little bit of chatter in there about them going Kyle Pitts. It's like they're in a win now mentality, and Mac Jones isn't a win now. Quarterbacks aren't a win now, pick. That's a build for the future, especially if you're going to draft 3 guys. But if you're going to go get the best player available, who in this class could have a bigger impact in year 1 for a team that can protect a quarterback, because that's key, for a team that can protect a quarterback than Kyle Pitts? So if they're going to take their shot, and going back to overspending for a receiver, we talk about Julio Jones, that was them taking a shot. The problem is they had just given up 50 points to the Green Bay Packers when they traded 5 picks to do it, and they addressed the wrong part. You go and spend 5 picks on one of the Bosa brothers, or someone like that, or Javian Clowney, then it makes sense because you're addressing a need with an elite prospect. But with 49ers, what does that do to the back end of this draft? If or not even the back end, just further down the line, if the 49ers take Kyle Pitts?
I think Atlanta would go Trey Lance then. I think that'd probably be the way they would go.
Justin Fields, they have to. They're going to get. I mean, you should see the social media about the Falcons. If they take Lance over Fields, they're going to get killed. But there's an interview with Kittle, with George Kittle. I see some of the stuff in here about they've already got this guy, but they asked him, so what do you think? It became enough of a talking point that they actually asked Kittle. He's like, I'd love it. I'd love it. This guy can do everything, takes a little pressure off me, makes us that much harder to defend. So, again, if you were to ask me, as soon as the trade happened, which was crazier, them taking Kyle Pitts or them taking Mac Jones? Man, that's a toss-up.
Yeah.
That's a toss-up.
Especially with what they gave up, right? Like, you do not give up that draft capital for a non-quarterback. That's what they call it, the quarterback premium.
The last 10 years, no one has traded into the top 5. Let me rephrase that. In the last 10 years, everyone that has traded into the top 5 has taken a quarterback for 10 years in a row. So it would definitely be a little crazy.
Ooh, Scott, I got to push back on that one. I thought of one pick that actually somebody did trade up in the top 10 for a non-quarterback.
Top five.
Top 5. Somebody did trade up in the top 5 for a non-quarterback. 2013, Deion Jordan. Raiders trade from 3 to 12.
I missed one.
Yep.
I went and looked at trades back because I was looking at just when I was going and doing the research. So it's happened once in the last 10 years. I'll have to do some editing because I didn't remember. When I looked, I couldn't find it. So that's the outlier. But every other one was a quarterback taken in the top 5.
Yeah, and man, the Raiders actually made a good move moving out of that 3 spot in that horrible 2013 draft. But and the Dolphins made a bad choice. But that was what I just remember how bad. Like, the only team to do it is the Dolphins, and all it's a sample size of 1. Like, if you're giving up that capital to move up that high, the only pick is quarterback. It's the only one that moves the needle enough. So it's we'll see. And there's always the risk again where you could have the 2011 draft where there's all these studs, and you don't want to be the team that took the non-Cam Newton quarterbacks, right? Christian Ponder, Blaine Gabbert, Jake Locker. But that hurts.
That was the year I said they've gone quarterback crazy again. I'm watching this happen. I'm like, they've gone quarterback crazy again. They're just flushing first round picks down the drain. It was, overvaluing a position to the point that you're reaching on guys that can't play. That was which, as an evaluator and someone who just doesn't like wasting money and picks, makes you angry. Like, what are you doing? What do you mean you're going to give Willian 30 million pounds at Arsenal? Are you insane? There might be two of you that got that reference, but it makes you mad. I've got a video on my channel where I'm ranting about that. It makes you angry to see that somebody doing something that's stupid. Unless you happen to be a Jets fan watching the Dolphins do it or something, then it's like, ha.
Yeah, that's a good one. What do you think about Lukaku? Apparently, rumors he might be coming back to the Bridge.
It'd be expensive. But if you watch Chelsea play, they could use it. Now, let me hit Kellen Mond real quick.
Yes.
Kellen Mond is a sixth taker. Do I think Kellen Mond is the sixth quarterback taken in the first round? No, I do not. I think that would be a tremendous reach. I don't think he's a first round guy. I think a second round would be a reach for him. I think third round would be a sweet spot for him. Quarterbacks that lack accuracy scare me, period. And that's the biggest concern with him is he's not a very accurate quarterback at this level. I mean, we're talking about the elite of the elite. If you're going to the NFL, you are an elite player, period. So let's take that off the table. But to take that next step, he doesn't have the accuracy that I would want in my quarterback to be a first round guy. So do I think he will? No, I don't. Might he? Yeah, you never know. It only takes one guy, but I wouldn't do it. And if someone takes him, I'd say this is a reach. This is a reach in the first. He's a reach in the second.
Yeah, and there are some respected draft analysts out there that have Kellen Mond ranked higher than Mac Jones, just because you want to throw it out there. Obviously, Chris Sims had a not crazy, but a different quarterback ranking than consensus. But some people, JT O'Sullivan out there, played in the league for a good bit, does that QB school on YouTube, a good channel. He has Kellen Mond ranked over Mac Jones and Kyle Krabs over the Draft Network. So we'll see, man. It's trying to predict the future. You never know.
Well, when I watched Mac Jones at the Senior Bowl, I was thinking, oh, man, this is a guy that could sneak into the first round. I was like, maybe. I was like, okay, back into the first. Yeah, this is a possibility. When I'm writing for teams looking to trade back that need a quarterback, I'm like, yeah, you might be able to get this guy at 25. That'd be a pretty good pick. Wait, 3? What? No, I didn't say that.
So let's go back. And Mitch, man, I think it was a report on Bleacher Report that I saw when they mentioned Lukaku, Chelsea targeting him. So we'll see. We don't want to it's draft day. We don't go too far down the football talk, but do like to talk about the boys in blue. Oh, Arsenal coming in here. So I wanted to come back to you here. Oh, actually, 2 supers right back to back. Let's get to that real quick. Don't let me forget accuracy quarterback. Want to come back to it. Mr. Boggins coming in. You don't think Burrow or Justin Herbert in their rookie year would have taken this roster, and I think he means the Broncos 2021 roster, not 2020, because injuries and whatnot, to the playoffs? The top 10 quarterbacks rarely get this level of roster. So what do you think there with those 2 rookie quarterbacks?
No, I don't. It can happen. There's outliers everywhere, but no, I don't think that a rookie quarterback takes a 4-12 team and makes them a 5-11, 4-12.
Get it right.
Yeah, I'm thinking both teams. Anybody drafting on merit in the top 5 or 6, a rookie quarterback doesn't turn those guys into playoff teams. There's too many holes. There's a reason why you're there, and even if it's just mostly coaching, it takes a little while to undo some of that poor coaching.
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow. I mean, where do you take the Bengals? Did the Bengals make the playoffs this year?
No. Chargers picking 13. But I will say, for the Broncos specifically, it's kind of like the 49ers to a sense. I don't expect them to be picking this high again because they dealt with an anomaly level of injuries last year. Mm-hmm. And maybe 2 of their 2 best players, Cortland Sutton, out for the year. Jawan James opts out. Von Miller out before the season even starts. Mm-hmm. You have Jarrell Casey goes down. AJ Boye goes down. There's even more. I can't, not off the top of my head, but this team dealt with, I think they either had the most money on injured reserve or they were second behind the 49ers. So there should be some regression to the mean, positive regression to the mean on the injury front. So I would say it's possible. I mean, Drew Lock played with bottom 5 quarterback last year, and you had all these injuries and second highest turnover rate per play. If the quarterback comes in and just guides the offense, I think this team is going to have a chance. And last year, with the fact that Vic Fangio is able to keep this defense's head above water when they were rostering, I'm not even exaggerating here, their 7th, 8th, and 9th cornerback. This team should positive regress this season. So I would say maybe for a quarterback, especially now, in football, 7 teams make the playoffs in each conference. So that little bit could be the difference. We got Base Gase coming in here as well. Thank you very much, Base Gase. I don't know if you can see his picture, but man, it always kills me. It's that from that Adam Gase press conference, introductory press conference. And my God,
nice freeze frame.
Yeah, dude was doing some smelling salts or something. Will Miami deal with New England? I doubt they'll deal with a rival, which only gives Broncos a chance. Also, Paton is buddies with Greer. I mean, it's a connections league. People have said that many times. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know. When the Jets moved up from 6-3 in that 2018 draft, a lot of it was because there were some buddies in those two front offices. And like, hey, let's make a deal. We're going to help each other out. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Let's get it done. And you saw the Jets move up. So I could definitely see something like this happening with the Dolphins and the Broncos because Paton and Greer. And also any chance that the Dolphins can dictate where these young quarterbacks go, and meaning that they don't go to a division rival, I think that's a good power move for the Dolphins. You can control the destiny of those picks a little bit. So I definitely think it's possible. It doesn't mean they're going to give the pick away. You still have to give them some compensation back. But I do think it's something where they could be like, this is mutually beneficial. We want Waddle Smith. You want to come up and get a quarterback. We want to keep a quarterback from New England. Let's get it done.
So El Bronco just posted, we're trading with Detroit. This is breaking news. So is this legit, or are you just having a laugh?
I think he might be messing with us. I haven't seen anything. And we would see a bunch more in the chat, I think, if that happens. So he's probably just joking around. And he says, I love Nick Kendall. I'm sorry, Zach. He's talking about Zach Kelberman. I love Zach Kelberman. So what do you think about that, Jedi? No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate the shout out. But the fact, I think Zach and I are pretty much on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to the viability of Drew Lock becoming a quarterback, or a top 10 perennial quarterback, which I think is the bar, unfortunately, in the AFC West. But that's okay. We'll see what happens. And Charlie's saying that's BS. So the Broncos wouldn't trade up to 7 until they knew who was going to be there, right? Like that. I don't think we're going to see any trades unless somebody moves up to 4, because we know the first 3 picks are quarterbacks. You could see New England moving up to 4 before the draft, but everything else going to wait until I think on the clock. So
it's going to be expensive to move up to 4. I can promise you that it's going to be expensive to move up to 4.
Yes. Do you think the San Francisco 49ers Dolphins trade muddied the waters there, or kind of made it impossible because the Falcons are now looking for a bigger cachet of picks than they would have?
No, I think that, that they spent that much to move up isn't totally out of the question. There's been some really expensive trades into the top 5 to get a quarterback through, the last 20 years. It's just that, now you're at the 4 pick to take the 4th pick at quarterback for a team that could use a quarterback or, several impact players that, it speaks to the depth of this draft. If this draft wasn't so good, you might take less, but it's like, all right, I got several good choices, and we don't talk about Jamar Chase enough.
No,
frankly, some of the guys talk about him being, one of the best wide receiver prospects in 5 or 6 years. So there's elite. We'll say it one more time before the draft in our last show. There's elite players 1 through 10 in this draft. So to get someone to come out of that spot, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be real expensive.
Yeah, and that's the Broncos can kind of dictate what happens there if there is a team to trade up, because they're sitting there at 9. And this is a class. A lot of people say there's only 12 or 16 first round grades in the class. There's a lot of day 2 grades. I think it's pretty good in the top 100. But I think there's probably, after those wide receivers, maybe the top 2 cornerbacks, the 2 offensive tackles, the 4 quarterbacks, and Micah Parsons, depending on what you're thinking there. That's probably it for the obvious first round grades. And when you're going to 15, 16, especially 20, 21, 24, you're going to miss on those guys, and it's going to cost a lot more.
There's flags. There's flags on everybody, obviously, but once you start getting, I look at a list and I start going down to Kwity Paye, which is, on a list I'm looking at, has him at 16. There's question marks there. Caleb Farley, big question marks. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I love the kids how he plays football, so I think he's a little bit more of a sure thing. So I like him, but he's 215 pounds.
Yeah, is he 215? Did he play at 215?
He's pretty
he
light.
Played at 200.
Yeah, he's pretty light. So either way, he's light. And then you've got, either, again, we talk about that athlete and that production bar. The highest guys are ticking both notches. You got Jason Owe, who's the freak of all freaks of athletes, 6'5", 260 pounds, running sub 4.4s, jumping 40 plus inches. It's insane. 0 sacks. Okay, well, that scares me. So there's a lot of buts in there when we get past that first 10 to 12 guys. But for this show, we're in the top 10. We can talk about impact guys and moving up, and that's why it's been so much fun.
Yeah, and I put out a tweet yesterday that I have 4 guys that if the Broncos do end up trading back, which, gun to my head, I think that's actually what happens tonight. I would like the quarterback, but I think the Broncos are going to trade back. I think somebody's going to want to come up to 9 and either take a wide receiver that's fallen, one of the quarterbacks, Mac Jones specifically, if he falls that far, and somebody is going to look at Dallas and being like, look, they're taking cornerback. I want a cornerback. I'm going to jump Dallas to take him. So I think that's a very strong possibility. Look for the Eagles at 12 there. But if the Broncos end up picking between 15 and 25, I got 4 guys that I would really be happy with in that range. One of them is Jamin Davis. Another one is Jason Owe. You talk about the lack of production, but statistical analysis has shown that sacks are very fluky year to year. They're not very predictive. Pressures are predictive, and Jason Owe had a ton of pressures. The dude got after it. He just didn't finish. And Penn State only played 6 games this year. Like, he didn't get to play some.
He's new to the game. You got to get your drinks ready, because every time you hear his best football is ahead of him, you got to take a drink.
Good thing
or the worst one, if you really want to play it loose and you want to make it so you can't walk out of the first round, every time you hear, here's a guy.
Oh God.
You better just tap the keg. Here's a guy. And I hear myself saying it echoes. I'm like, don't say that. Don't say it. It's overused. So
he's a gym rat, the classic coach's kid. All those overused cliches and tropes. So Jason Owe, I don't care that he didn't have sacks. Pressures are predictive year to year. Sacks aren't. Only played 6 games. Didn't get a beat up. Some Division II team where you're going to get three tackles against a 6'3", 280-pound left tackle. I also think Greg Newsome. I would take a shot on Greg Newsome trading back 15 to 25. I think he's scheme versatile. Injuries are a little bit scary there, but man, I think he has a shot to be the best cornerback in this class. I don't think that's actually a long shot. I think he's being slept on a little bit. And the last one, Tevin Jenkins, guard tackle. I don't care. Dude is the meanest player in this class. He has the nicest pick. I don't know if you've seen him in his a professional pick. He's got the huge glasses and just sitting there smiling.
Oh, the sleepers. Yes. It's like having a 4-door AMG Mercedes or something. It's kind of stealthy. You don't know what you're going against, or you pull up next to a Tesla, and the guy's dropping a 3-second 0 to 60 on you. So those are the sleeper guys. I like those. I like the ones that they don't have to show you how tough they are. They know. They're confident.
Oh man, Tevin Jenkins is the biggest SOB in this class. He doesn't want to just block you. He wants to put your butt in the ground. It's kind of like watching Quentin Nelson at guard, right? It's like, I don't want to just block you. I want to dominate you. And we got Brandy Lewis coming in here on YouTube. Thank you so much, Brandy. And we both are big proponents of Justin Fields. So I want to hear your take on this one, because I have an opinion also. I think Fields struggled under pressure in college. Not sure he has the fortitude to go against Donald or Mac, etc. So what do you think about specifically that first bit? Fields under pressure.
I don't really understand that. Against Alabama in the biggest game, Alabama's made a lot of quarterbacks look bad. They have. But
he didn't look bad.
Ohio State's not in that game without Justin Fields. There's no more pressure than the game before that against Clemson, and he was a standout. The guy is a 4'4" guy at 220 pounds. He can move the sticks with his feet. He got cut in half by Skalski in that Clemson game and still throws a 65-yard pass on a dime with bruised ribs. I'm like, I don't know what else to look for.
Yeah.
He's proved it. If I can't go and win game, I'm like, I got called out about Cam Newton on this by the Ohio State. The Ohio State fans had an unhealthy obsession with Cam Newton and Terrell Pryor. And I'm on an Ohio State board, so I got to bite my tongue a little bit. But I'm like, Terrell Pryor's not a quarterback. And I was like, if you watch the SEC championship game, and I think it was against Missouri or South Carolina, I don't remember what it was, but I remember Cam Newton. If you watch the SEC championship game and Cam Newton, you think he's the number 1 overall pick. If you watch him against Oregon in the national championship game a month later after they haven't played a game, football games should play friendlies, by the way, between while they're off. He looks like a guy that shouldn't be drafted. That was a kind of a really ugly win, 2 precision offenses that haven't played a live game in a month. They look terrible. So, you know, what are you, I'd love for people to expand that. He hasn't looked good under pressure. You know, what do you mean? Fields in the game, two interceptions under pressure. Well, what was his entire body of work? You know, we can find times on any of these guys where they struggled, without a doubt. You know,
Trevor Lawrence in the national championship game 2 years ago, his accuracy was horrible in that LSU game. People aren't dunking on him for that.
If you with a small enough sample size, I can prove any point you want. And I usually talk about that with drafts. I'm like, well, Tom Brady was drafted in the 7th. Why would I ever take a quarterback before then? You know, or Kurt Warner, I found him stocking shelves at Walmart. That's where I should be looking for quarterbacks.
It was Hy-Vee. It was Hy-Vee. Get that right. That's an Iowa grocery store legend. I worked there for years. Not Walmart. Hy-Vee. Shout out to Hy-Vee.
They're probably owned by Walmart by now, though. That was a long time ago.
Maybe.
Or Amazon. But Fields, the numbers that Fields put up for Ohio State, and accuracy and getting the ball downfield. It wasn't just, I saw a stat. It was like, of these quarterbacks, these guys threw this many screen passes, and it was Zach Wilson. It was the top 4 of the top guys, Mac Jones, and the top 3 guys were in the 90s. And Justin Fields was in the 20s. He only threw like 25 screen passes and has a 70% accuracy rate. Damn.
Yeah. He's accurate in the intermediate and deep parts of the field. And you're talking about being bad under pressure. One thing I feel when I watch Justin Fields, and I also get this sense with Tannehill and Deshaun Watson, is sometimes they can be a little bit greedy in the pocket. Now, what do I mean by that? It's because these guys are looking for shots down the field. So they're hanging in the pocket. Sometimes you're like, man, I wish you'd tuck it and run. I wish you'd get rid of the football. They're taking sacks that they probably shouldn't be from time to time, but it's because they're looking to attack. They're looking down the field, and they're holding out as long as they can, waiting for that break, trying to survey the field as long as possible. So one man's, he hangs in the pocket too long, slow processor, as another man, that dude hangs back there and is tough and takes shots and is looking to be a hunter. So I think that's a nuanced conversation we got to have there.
Well, and that said, I've said all along, what do I like the most about Mac Jones is how he reacts in the face of a blitz. It's elite. His ability to get a throw off accuracy and find the flats, find an option with a blitz in his face. Because that's one of the criticisms of him is like, well, he's playing at Alabama. He's never getting touched. I'm like, well, that's not true. He's seeing plenty of blitzes and he's dicing them apart. That's my favorite part of Mac Jones's game. So, so I understand it. Yeah. And I just think that when we're talking about he struggled under pressure, I think that, there's a smaller sample size there. I think on the whole, he has been incredibly successful under pressure, and he's been under pressure since he was a 15-year-old kid. He's been the guy, much like Trevor Lawrence, since we don't know how Zach Wilson and Trey Lance are going to react when everybody's watching them. Everybody. I mean, the whole world is watching them. What's going to be like going from playing relative obscurity in front of no fans at BYU to going and playing in New York? I mean, that's a pressure cooker. And, if we don't know how he's going to react to that, but if we take Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence and put him in that same spot, I got a pretty good idea how they're going to react in those pressure situations. So again, there's no right or wrong at this point. There isn't any. I'll let you know what I think and what I've seen, and I appreciate all of the feedback on this. But it's crapshoot. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun to go back and watch and say, well, that guy got it right. That guy got it right. That guy, oh my God, he's a moron. Which you'll probably be saying about me. So,
and I'm self-aware enough to know that my draft takes from earlier, the ones that I missed, might over-influence and I might overcorrect to where I'm at now. So 2018, I thought, man, Josh Rosen plays from the pocket, quick processor, accurate, distributes the football. That's how you win. You have to have a quarterback who can throw the football. And then Josh Allen, he's not accurate enough, blah, blah, blah. If you can't hit those timing routes, you can't win in the league. Idiot. I'm an idiot. And so now here I am, Mac Jones, pocket, good accuracy, but he can't extend beyond the X's and O's. Trey Lance, athlete, big arm, super smart, driven, can do the uncoachable things, plays beyond the X's and O's. Maybe it's an overcorrection. We're fixing to find out. A lot of it comes down to stuff that we can't answer to. A lot of it's situation.
He just dropped a fixin'. I've been down here my whole life. That's one of the phrases I will not use.
I mean, I got some Missouri ties, and they say we got to go check the washing machine with that hard R in there.
Fixin'. No, I was born in Ohio, so I moved down here when I was 5.
Okay.
And that was the fixin' was one that I wasn't ever gonna say. I was like, fixin', like, no, don't like it.
Yeah.
Y'all is easy. Y'all is easy because it shortens everything up and it makes it, instead of having to say, were you talking to you or you? Y'all. That's real easy. That makes sense.
Y'all
Cody Potter, Ojulari on the over-under at 25.5. I would take the under. What do you have? Do you have the over or the under on that one? I've got the I'd take the under. I think he might go in the 20 to 25 range.
I've heard whispers that the knee got flagged at the medical rechecks, and you could see him have one of those guys like, why is this guy still on the board? Then all they're like, well, it was the medical recheck. So be looking for him to slip. I heard that knee was confusing, but it is BS season. And you know what that means? Somebody could be like, oh man, please let him fall to 32. So maybe it's the Ravens out there. Who knows? They could use an edge rusher. We got Jason coming in here with some interesting stats here. Total QBR when blitzed. Lawrence 69.6. Nice. Fields 81.1 in the past 13 games. So, I mean, smaller sample size, 13 games, but that's what you're dealing with all these guys. It is what it is. We got Brandy Lewis coming in here again. Brandy, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you over on YouTube asking some good questions. Can the Broncos offensive line protect a rookie quarterback? Well, this is an interesting tidbit. There is some Pro Football Sports Info Solutions data where Drew Lock actually last year had the singular worst completion percentage for plays that were 2.5 or plus seconds, which is the typical get the ball out in 2.5 seconds. So, at some point, people like to blame the offensive line, and you want the offensive line to be better, obviously. But even when the offensive line did protect the football, Drew Lock was not accurate and made bad decisions. So can the Broncos offensive line protect a rookie? I think yes. I think they're a middling offensive line, but right now they have a quarterback who, even when the offensive line does their job, he's still not getting the ball to where he needs to in time accurately. So God bless. Also, there was a weird dichotomy. The Broncos offensive line under Kugler in the first few years with Munchak, dominant run blocking unit. Not good in pass, dominant run blocking unit. This last year, they took massive steps back in the run blocking. Part of that's the new center. Part of that is getting Graham Glasgow, who's a better pass blocker than run blocker. But the offensive line was not as good as run blocking last year. Melvin Gordon, what he did down the stretch, I think needs to be a little bit more appreciated by Broncos country. He was really good from that Miami game on.
I'm just letting you go, man. You start getting into schemes on the Broncos, and I start scanning the chat for different things. And I'm watching several people saying, and Brandy was actually one of them, talking about you protect a rookie quarterback with a running game. You protect your quarterback, period, with a running game. The best pass defense in the world is a quarterback on his butt, and the best passing game in the world is a 2nd and 2. If you're getting 6 yards, and you can run play action, 6 yards on first in a play action scheme, then anybody at this level is going to be a pretty good quarterback. So again, it's the one position where the scheme and everybody around him means more to me than the quarterback himself, which might be a little counterintuitive to some things we've talked about with these players themselves. But again, offense is the ultimate team. Football's ultimate team game, and offense is even harder. And I was going to ask you this the other day, Nick. Have you ever been to an all-star game, an all-star practice, watching them put in offenses and defenses? The offense can hardly get off a snap the first couple of days without someone jumping offside, someone blowing an assignment. It is hard to play offense because it requires all 11 guys all on the same page, all doing their right job. Where on defense, 10 guys can fall down. One guy makes a play, that play's over. So, it's so much harder to play offense. It's such a team game that you've really got to have the coaching and the scheme in place. And if you do, then who you've got isn't necessarily as important as we go into draft day. And I'm pissing all over all of that. But long story short, I agree with you. The running game is still the best thing in the world for a quarterback. Yeah,
I would maybe push back a little bit. I would say getting them weapons that can separate easily, and offensive line, probably number 1 and 1A, or 1A and 1B for me. Run games for me, it's about dictating box numbers. If you have a running back who means that you can't play 2 deep safeties, you're going to have a better job throwing the ball down the field. And if you also have a spacing weapon, which means that they can't put as many guys in the box, then you're going to be able to run the ball better. So it's really just manipulating how many guys defenses can put in the box and then pivoting off that.
And I just have a different way to get to there, which is if I can get 5 to 6 yards on first down, then I'm dictating what's going to happen on the next one. Then you've got to play the run and the pass, which dictates you can't sell out on either one, which gives me more options. So it's just a different way of getting to the same spot that, if you can do those type of things, then you become a lot more versatile. And one of the reasons I always said that Tim Tebow, going back to earlier in the conversation, one of the things that made Florida and Urban Meyer so dangerous was any and one play was a free play. If you're 2nd and 1, you've got 2 free plays to take a shot because you can go for it on 4th and 1. Tim Tebow was going to get you first down. Any and one was a free shot. It was like having an offsides play on every single play. So that's what made them so dangerous is when you can get the short yardage or if you can get yourself in positive situations off a first down, you become a really dangerous offense, and that helps your quarterback without a doubt.
No doubt. We got Todd Ostendorf coming in here with the awesome German name there. I'm assuming. Deutschland, dropping in to say hello on Christmas in April. That's why I'm wearing the Christmas sweater. It's a draft sweater today. Go Broncos. I hope whatever we do today, it makes the team better, able to compete for years to come. Well, so far, George Paton has done a phenomenal job setting this team up. And obviously the draft is going to be big for him. And whatever quarterback he takes might define his legacy. And also whatever quarterback he passes might define his legacy, right? Like Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, they traded up for Mitch Trubisky in the draft with Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately for them, that's going to define their legacy. So it's a double-edged sword. You gotta get it right. But thank you for stopping by, Todd. We appreciate that. And guys, we actually got to get out of here. It's draft day. I got to get to work, and I know Scott has some obligations as well, but we appreciate everyone for swinging by today. We're going to be back to cover the draft tonight. This is Broncos for Breakfast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate the heck out of you. We will be back here again tomorrow, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, to discuss the first round. So it'll be a lot of fun. It
will be a lot of fun talking about what happened.
Yes.
Because there's going to be some stuff that's going to be what do you mean they took this kid, or this guy fell or what? So it'll be fun talking about what actually happened and analyzing that and seeing who did well and the trades and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I hope you are too.
I'm hoping for you, Scott, that Spencer Brown goes in the first round, because I just know you'll be standing on a table somewhere.
We'll see. I'm more interested in what he does once he gets picked. If he goes in the 4th round and he ends up a 5-time Pro Bowler, I'm going to say, someone should have just paid me. Bring me on as a consultant on staff, and I could have had you a Pro Bowl offensive tackle for a couple $100,000.
Well, hopefully he gets a good coach.
Yeah.
But at Mile High Huddle here, guys, make sure you follow us. That does us a heck of a lot of good. Go to facebook.com for Mile High Huddle and become a supporter. Go to huddleuppod.com and get your swag on. I got my Building the Broncos hat. Scott and I, if we're continuing this on, we need to get ourselves some Broncos for Breakfast mugs. That would be a good thing to go. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube today, subscribe, like, and share. Make sure you get those alerts. That's helps us more than anything you guys else can do. We appreciate you joining us in the community here. But if we can get out there to new eyeballs and everything, get this content out there. If you're enjoying it, share it. That helps us a lot. Also, guys, speaking of helping, if you're enjoying this, make sure you check out Scott's YouTube page at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I am dropping his link right now for his channel in the chats. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Twitch. You can see it on Periscope. Make sure you guys click that link. Check out Scott's channel. If you're like, you know what? I'm not going to get any work done today anyway. It's draft day. I'm dreaming. Go to Scott's YouTube page. Check out everything that's going on.
Go watch Spencer Brown. Go watch Spencer Brown. You'll like him.
Yes, absolutely. You guys will like him. A fun player. I mean, should have been a Hawkeye, but whatever. I have to get that in before we get out of here. We love y'all. You guys stay safe. We will see you tonight for the draft. We'll see you tomorrow morning again. You guys can find me on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH. You guys can find Scott on Twitter at Scout Kennedy. We will be back here tomorrow. Guys, make sure you hit those likes on the way out. Right now we're at TJ Ward 43. Would like to get it up to a Von Miller 58 if we can. Maybe when I check it later, that's where it'll be at. But everyone enjoy it. Make sure you have your adult beverages tonight from Dave Glassman there saying the cheers. I'm definitely going to be enjoying an adult beverage, probably an IPA, because I'm out in the Pacific Northwest and I got to live by the cliche if I can help it. I'm a hophead, but appreciate you guys. Have a great one. And we will see you tonight and tomorrow.